Hey guys, Mr. Corey here with another couple chapters of Eerie Elementary. So we are on chapter 4 now. So just going back, and maybe if you missed a chapter or you don't remember what was happening in the story. So the main character in the story, Sam Graves, he is a hall monitor at the school called Eerie Elementary. And in the story, some weird things have been happening at school. It's almost as if the school is almost coming alive in some ways. And then he met this custodian at the school named Mr. Nakobe, and it seems like Sam Graves was chosen to kind of be the hall monitor, and maybe he has a special job to do at the school. So we're gonna continue on from where we left off with chapter 4. Chapter 4 is called Something Awakens. Sam covered his ears, but he couldn't get away from the sound of the clock. Not until ring. The day was over. Sam followed the other kids into the hall. He grabbed the hall monitor sash from his stinky locker. See you tomorrow, Sam, Lucy said. She and Antonio threw their backpacks over their shoulders and ran outside. Sam sighed. He wanted to run home, too. He wanted to plop down on the couch and fall asleep. Then he wanted to wake up to learn this whole day had been a terrible nightmare. But instead, he had to go on hall monitor duty. So there's the pictures. Sam stood near the third grade lockers. The only thing keeping Sam awake was the cool chill across his neck. It felt like the school was breathing on him. Sam saw that he was beneath an air vent. Brr. There were no teachers around, so Sam thought there'd be no harm in sitting down. He slipped into a chair just outside the principal's office. I'll only rest here for a minute. But soon, Sam's eyelids fell heavy. They were closing. Sam was falling asleep. Uh-oh, Sam's going to fall asleep in school. Let's see what happens. When Sam woke up, he was beyond confused. The halls were dark, nearly pitch black. What time is it? He wondered, standing up. Sam rubbed his eyes. He ran to the end of the hall. He peered through the big double doors. It was black as midnight outside. How long was I asleep? My mom is going to freak out, thought Sam. I have to get home now. He yanked on the doors, but they were locked. Hello? Sam whispered. Is anyone there? I fell asleep and... Clang, clang, clang! Sam spun around. All the locker doors flung open, one after the other, all the way down the hall. Sam jumped back. His heart was pounding. Clang, clang, clang! All the locker doors slammed shut again. Sam was really hoping this was just a nightmare. He spun back around. He tugged as hard as he could on the doors, but it was no use. He was trapped inside Eerie Elementary. Uh-oh, that's scary. All right. Uh-oh, it's going to get spooky, I think. Chapter 5 is called The Skeleton. The double doors flew open, knocking Sam to the floor. Then they slammed shut again. He was still trapped inside the school. Ouch, Sam yelled. Everyone knows you can't get hurt in a dream, so this must be real. He needed to escape. The school was coming to life all around him. Sam ran into the classroom. He threw his hands against the large window. He was hoping to see anyone, who could help. All he saw was the giant oak tree blowing in the wind. But it wasn't windy. Sam saw other trees, and none of the other trees were blowing. And the leaves on the ground weren't wishing around at all either. The only thing moving was that tree. Could the tree be alive? Sam thought. Smash! The glass window shattered. Sam fell to the floor as one of the tree's long, twisted branches came crashing through. It wrapped around Sam's leg. Sam began hitting the branch. Whack, whack, whack. Finally, the branch's grip loosened. Sam was able to crawl away. Behind him, he heard the branch scraping across the floor like fingernails on a chalkboard. The tree was reaching for him, trying to pull him back. He pushed his way through the fallen desks. He stumbled back into the hallway. Pieces of glass crunched beneath his feet. Then, clang, clang, clang! All the locker doors were slamming open and shut at once. All the classroom doors were doing the same thing. But worst of all was what Sam saw next. A figure stood at the end of the hallway. It had a body like a skeleton. Lights flashed and doors clanged, but the figure didn't move. It just stood there, perfectly still, staring at Sam. Whew. I don't know about you guys, but if that happened to me in school, I'd get pretty freaked out at this point. All right, well, we're going to have to leave it there until tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to see what that figure is, if it actually is a skeleton or maybe it was just his imagination. We'll find out tomorrow. Tomorrow's chapter is called The Danger is Real. All right, so today I'm going to have a quick little journal entry for you guys to do. So if you remember your journal, I asked you guys to find a notebook at home. If you didn't have one, have your parents send me a message and I could bring you one, or you could come pick one up at school. So that journal, the only thing that should be in the journal are our daily journal entries. So I've had you write a couple things in your journals from this book, Eerie Elementary, and today I'm going to have you write another one. So I ask you to start on page 1 and then write today's day at the top. And then I ask you to do start on the second page on the back side for the second day. So now we're on the next page. Okay, so this should only be our third journal entry in our writing journal. All right, so you should see my screen pop up here. So the screen will look like this. And today's date is, I'm sorry. I just realized the mistake there, and I just have to refresh. I think that's what the problem is. Nope, I just had the date wrong, and I will fix it right now. So while you are getting your journal out, the date up at the top that you're going to write is Thursday, August 27th. All right, so up at the very top, the tippity top at the top of the page, Thursday, August 27th. And you are going to put the title, like on the first line. The title is Eerie Elementary, chapters 4 and 5. Those are the 2 chapters we read today. So put the title kind of on the first line in the middle, chapters 4 and 5. So then later when I look at your journal, I'll know exactly what you're talking about. All right, you're going to answer a couple questions today. So remember, complete sentences when you write in your journal. Complete sentences always start with a capital letter at the beginning of the sentence and always have punctuation at the end, usually a period. If you write a question, use a question mark. If you need an exclamation point, you can use that also. But here are the 2 questions you're going to answer. First, do you think the story is fiction or nonfiction? Fiction or nonfiction? This week on those Google Slides for our language arts, you guys are talking about fantasy, the fantasy genre. So this book could also kind of be considered a fantasy book. But fiction or nonfiction, I'll give you a little hint. Fiction books are not real. So fictional books are made up stories. Nonfiction are true stories, things that really do happen in real life, true facts. Okay, so fiction, not real. Nonfiction, real. Okay, so write a complete sentence for that first question. Do you think this story is fiction or nonfiction? Choose one of them. And then the second question says, what details from the story made you say that? So why did you pick fiction or nonfiction? What did you think from Eerie Elementary would make you think it's fiction or nonfiction? Okay, so you're going to answer those 2 questions. So try to write like 3 to 5 sentences. They don't have to be really, really long. Just make sure it's a capital letter at the beginning, period at the end. You write nice and neat. You have finger spaces in between each word, meaning you can stick your finger in between each word and you have enough space to fit your finger. And even if you spell words wrong, that's totally okay. Just sound them out. But I should be able to read it. Your parents should be able to read it in your nicest handwriting. All right. So that's today's journal entry. All right, let me come back with my camera on here. All right, so let me know if you have any questions. That was the next 2 chapters, and we will do the next chapter tomorrow. All right, hope everybody has a good day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.